So I want to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us. My name is E-RYT. I'm the CEO of the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, and I'll be your host for this webinar tonight. And before I tell you about our speaker and friend and guest, I want to tell you a little bit about housekeeping, just a couple of items here. As you've noticed, everyone is muted so that we have really good quality audio for all of us. But the webinar will be recorded and you'll receive the recording in a day or so. If you have questions or comments, please use the chat function at the bottom of your screen. I'm sure everyone knows everything about Zoom by now. We will have a quick poll coming up soon. So if you could participate and tell us a little bit about yourself, we'd appreciate it. We have a courtesy of Sounds True and Amy. We're going to do a free raffle for one of Amy's latest product. It's called Yoga for Your Mood deck, and it's a card deck. And I've really enjoyed looking at it, and it's 52 cards. It kind of occurred to me that you can use it for a whole year. You can use one card a year if you want to, so it's something to treasure, to take along with you everywhere, and to really, make work for you. So one last thing, if you really like this topic and you want to learn more about it, you'll be receiving a handout from Amy as promised, probably tomorrow or the next day. And also you can find out about Amy's upcoming online immersion course on October 2nd and 3rd. And we'll tell you more about it towards the end of the webinar. But just to put it out there. The good part about doing all these virtual things is that we can get to attend things from all over the world. We don't have to travel. We don't have to, change time zones. And I think it's made connection much easier in that way. So I'm grateful for that. And so now, without further ado, let me introduce our delightful and renowned speaker, Amy Weintraub. She is the founder of the Life Force Yoga Healing Institute. She's an acclaimed yoga therapist and a pioneer in the field of yoga and mental health. She's the author of the best-selling Yoga for Depression, which was her first work. And this new card deck that I just mentioned, and yoga skills for therapists, also quite a while back. So you can see what pioneer means. She teaches and guides thousands of practitioners and therapists around the world. She also wrote a novel in 2020, in the pandemic year, called Temple Dancer, which I read also. Was very interesting. And she lives and thrives in Tucson, Arizona, where she mountain bikes, dances, writes, and creates. In 1999, she wrote The Natural Prozac. It was the Yoga Journal's first article addressing yoga and mental health. So I think this will says everything. Amy, please, I'll pass the mic to you, as they say.
Okay, E-RYT, thank you so much for inviting me to be with so many precious beings, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. So I thought I would share a little bit. I did do some prep, so let me get my mouse in gear here, and I'll share my screen with you. We'll do a little bit of this. So we're going to first just look at yoga in general and some of the research that we know. So this is just an overview. More research is in the training, various trainings that I offer. But this is an overview of the biochemical and physical changes. So there's a decrease in the cortisol level, which most of us know is the fight or flight stress hormone that gets activated when we're under extreme stress and certainly under trauma, when we're experiencing trauma. It increases GABA levels, which is a primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. And GABA levels tend to be low when we're depressed, when we're anxious, when we are recovering from trauma, we have low GABA levels. And yoga has been shown to increase GABA levels. It increases heart rate variability, which we know is balances the sort of the autonomic nervous system. It basically says the heart is appropriately stimulated when we're excited, when we're doing faster pranayama, for example, and it's basically calmed down when we're doing more calming practices. So it's an increase in so many good things. I'm not going to go too much more with this slide because what's really exciting is that we know when there's Alzheimer's or dementia, even in early stages, the brain begins to shrink. And so this is where we're talking about yoga and Alzheimer's disease. So we know, first of all, that there is a link, that those of us who have had major depression and have been depressed on and off in our lifetimes will have a predisposition for Alzheimer's disease, for dementia. It's just a fact. Research has shown that. So practicing yoga actually increases the size of our brain. There are a number of studies that show that the gray matter in brain regions, in particular, it meant here the hippocampus grows, and the hippocampus is responsible for sequential memory, for keeping things. So both in terms of when we're traumatized, the hippocampus shrinks, and when we have dementia, early stage Alzheimer's, the hippocampus shrinks. So the fact that yoga increases these areas of the brain is really important. So, and I love this study. It's a relatively new one, and it looked at 58 people with major depressive disorder, and it was randomized into a control group and a yoga practicing group. And the severity of the depression was assessed by the Breck Depression Inventory. Depression Inventory. And then there were also biomarkers taken. So there were blood samples collected before and after the 12 weeks. So what's exciting is that there's a significant decrease in depression and a significant increase in BDNF, brain derivative neurotropic factor. So what does that mean? It means that we have more neuroplasticity. It means that when there's a reduction in BDNF, it's a sign of depression. It's also a marker for Alzheimer's disease. So increasing brain derivative neurotropic factor is great for both our memories and our moods. It also increases DHEAS, which is also lowered when it's a marker for Alzheimer's disease. It's one of the tests that's given. And so when it's decreased, it's often a symptom of depression. It's also a symptom of AD. SIRT1 is, again, it inhibited it when we have more, it's a protective against Alzheimer's disease. And it lowers with depression, it lowers with AD. Telomerase activity increases, and that just sort of lengthens the telomeres at the end of our genetic strands, our chromosome strands, good for protecting the brain. And then cortisol is decreased, which we know is the stress, hormone. So cortisol is decreased, and that also is good for AD, because often there's agitation with AD, so we want to keep things calm. And then there's a decrease in DNA damage. So that's all really important, and they're very similar in terms of the effects of yoga affects depression in a positive way, and it affects memory and our brains in a positive way. So it really is a preventative. So next slide. Let's see. There we go. So I love this too, and we'll be finished with the research soon. If you want more in-depth, there in the trainings, there's a lot more in-depth research, but this is an important one too. I think, remember the horse whisperers way back when? Well, the amygdala is that little part of the brain that gets hyper aroused when we've been traumatized. It starts to grow as the hippocampus shrinks in the limbic brain. The amygdala grows, and it causes that hyperreactivity, that hyperarousal that we have when we've had a history of trauma. And so the evidence shows that yoga practice actually shrinks the amygdala even as it grows the hippocampus. So that is, and when we've been traumatized, our memories are stored in a way that is not linear. They're incoherent. So having coherent memory is important in trauma recovery as well as in prevention of Alzheimer's. So let's see, next slide is, okay. So this is the basis of everything I do. And for those of you out there who are yoga practitioners, yoga teachers, it's really what we find when we practice yoga, which is that our true nature is unsullied. No matter what has happened to us, no matter what our stories are, our true nature is unsullied. And we find this through practice, through diving deep. And we're actually going to do some practice. And I would encourage you not to take notes when we're practicing, because all of these practices are available on the card deck. We'll be using some of the cards from the card deck. They're available on YouTube, on my Amy Weintraub author channel, lots of places. They're in the books. So I would encourage you to, when we get to the practice, to actually experience them so that you can have that sense of finding that place within that is open and accessible, that sense of oneness and well-being, which is our true nature, beneath the story, beneath the mood, beneath whatever life has thrown at us. Okay, so now I'd like to offer a couple of practices from the card deck. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to move my chair back and move the screen a little bit. We're going to pull some prana. And here's something to note, that when we do this, we're going to increase the sympathetic response. It's what we do afterwards that's so important for bringing balance. So I just want to show you my knees, because I'll just tilt down for a minute, because when we do this, our knees are going to be soft. We're going to bend the knees. Otherwise, we could get dizzy. It's just more grounding to do it that way. Okay? So this is pulling prana, and we're going to do it 1 breath per second. That's efficacious without overstimulating anyone who may have a tendency towards mania or other may have another diagnostic label that would be agitating. And also, if, where you are, if it's later in the evening, you wouldn't want to do too much of this, because you want to be able to sleep. But it's what we do afterwards, and it's written on the card, that's so essential. So again, please practice with me. Set aside your notes if you're taking them. So we're going to lift the arms, and if your shoulders don't allow you to do this, do it forward and back. You can even just open your hands like this. Okay, so it's going to be through the nostrils, an inhale and an exhale. Feel free to allow the eyes to soften or close, or leave them open, focused with a one-pointed gaze. And 3, 2, 1. I'm going to add to this. We're going to do forward and back. So let me tilt this down a little bit. This isn't in the card deck. I'm just offering it to you on the webinar. And alternate, like you're cross-country skiing, which some of us, depending on our elevation, may be doing in a few months. And then inhale, make gentle fists, sustain the breath or not. Pump your arms towards your waist. This is breath to stimulate the nerves. Now, this is the most essential part of this practice. Release, soften, sense the energy shining in your face, left side of the face, right side of the face, left shoulder, all the way down to the tingling in the palm of your hand. Sense the spaces between your fingers. Inhale through the fingertips of your left hand all the way to the crown of your head. Exhale down through the right side, sensing the whole right side, sensing the fingertips tingling, perhaps a ginger ale feeling in the palm. Inhale from feet to crown, I am. Exhale to your feet, here, grounded, ready. And for those of you who are yoga teachers, this might be a way to begin to allow intention for the practice to arise, sankalpa, and to breathe it through the spaciousness you are. Breathe it through from feet to crown. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here into your feet, grounded, ready. And then allow your eyes to flutter open, and I will sit back down. And feel free in the chat to let us know how that landed, how you feel. So as I explained, it's not just the practice. It's what you do after the practice, especially if you're a yoga teacher or a yoga practitioner, to take that time to ground the energy using a mini body scan and then to continue. So if you notice, the cards that are red are that have a red background in the deck are more energizing. However, in Life Force Yoga, what we do is meet the mood. So if someone's overstimulated and stressed, we will do something like this to meet that energy and then to ground it before we try to calm it down. Because you know, right, that you have had, if you've been anxious or revved up, if someone just says to you, take a deep breath, it's just like, I can't, it's not what you want to hear. You and that mood need to be met where you are and then brought into balance. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. And that is...
Amy, would you like to hear a couple of comments?
Sure.
Or at the end?
Comments would be great. I'd love to hear how it landed.
So Donna said that was wonderful. Jess said much more alert and present. Denise said relaxed. Joe said, I feel enlivened, enriched, and ready. That's beautiful. And Jill said, very helpful to see the exercise as I have no yoga experience and interpreted the card very differently. Are there videos of each card?
If you go to Instagram, not everybody's on Instagram, but Amy, what's my Instagram? Amy Life Force Yoga is my Instagram name. I have done a lot of videos, probably 15 or 20 that are based on the cards. Some of them are up on YouTube. I also have a lot of free practices up on YouTube. So you can go there. And my YouTube channel is Amy Weintraub Author. Yeah. And so all of that is accessible through amyweintraub.com. The website. It gives you all that. Yeah. So
sure, here's and we have two more quick comments. Feels more present, and someone said I immediately felt full of energy in my body and mind. So thank you.
Beautiful. And if we took like our heart rate, our blood pressure during the process, it would be elevated a bit. But afterwards, after we take the time to ground, it would go below the resting heart rate. That's what we've found. And now that we have these Fitbits, I don't know about you, but I like to check my heart rate before I practice a particular practice. Sometimes during, I'll sort of open my eyes and get a quick little, and then always after. And so it's really interesting to see, to actually use your own body as a laboratory to see how these practices work for you. So here's another one we call stair-step breath. I'm going to lead, this is actually one that meets anxiety, but I'm going to lead it. And Kirti, please keep me on track in terms of time. So we might not get through all the ones I had hoped to, but they're all in the card deck. So, and they'll be in the handout that Liz is going to make tomorrow and send out. So here's this thought bubble is this guy's image of himself in a strong, capable position. So we're using bhavana or imagery. Belarus Naparstak has done a lot of research on the use of imagery for trauma, and very effective. So you're going to think of an image that for you represents calm strength, courage. And if an image doesn't readily arise, just maybe think the words or the word courage. See that in your heart's mind. And what we're going to do is take little steps of breath as though you're climbing a mountain, and then we're going to slide down the mountain. All right, so this meets anxiety in that shortness of breath, that upper chest breathing, and then calms it down. And we may add on to this to do the next stage, which is also good for depression. So allowing the eyes to soften or close. Maybe there's an image that for you represents calm strength, maybe from nature, or a time you felt calm and strong, or a face, a deity, a beloved, or just a word. And we're going to take little steps through the nostrils as though we're climbing a mountain. At your own pace, when you get to the top, see that image and then slide down the mountain through the nostrils. And again, little steps through the nostrils. And at your own pace, when you get to the top, see that image or the word calm, strength, courage, and slide down through the nostrils. And this time we're going to add on to this. We're going to take a long glass elevator ride to the top, maybe seeing something beautiful on the way up, calm and strong. And then little steps down the mountain through the nostrils. You feel what's happening in your belly? It's a mild kriya, mild cleansing practice, very mild, not overstimulating. And then again, let's take a glass elevator to the top of the mountain. When you get to the top, see something beautiful, inspiring, and little steps down. Nice. And then we'll do the one we started with. We'll take little steps up. See something beautiful, something strong, courageous, and slide down through the nostrils. Allow the breath to find you again. That image, if you had one, calm strength, beauty on the altar of your heart. And then as you're ready, you can allow your eyes to flutter open. So rather than, I would love to hear how it landed, but I think I'll hesitate on opening up that door right now because I want to make sure we have time for some of the other practices. And I want to say something about that. There's one piece of it that we didn't do because it's late in the evening on the East Coast. And that is little steps. That would be the third part, little steps up the mountain and little steps down, which is even more energizing. And all of those stages are in the card deck. So let me go to the next slide. There we go. And this is one of my favorites. So it's really about using imagery, using sound, using mudra. So it's the image that you may wish to use would be something that brings you a sense of peace, something that brings you a sense of clarity, perhaps, because the mantra we're going to use is Soham, which represents I am that. So what is it? What peaceful image or word would you like to use to evoke that? So we're going to be inhaling the arms out, seeing that image or word, and then drawing the hands to the heart in Eagle Mudra. Right hand on the heart, left hand over the right, linking the thumbs with the mantra Soham. So together, maybe allowing the eyes to close or soften, evoking that image for peace, or clarity, whatever it is that you're wanting to enhance right now, or the words. And inhale your arms out in front of your heart. See that image or word, draw it to your heart with Soham. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. See that image or word. Soham. Beautiful. One more time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Embrace that word or image. Soham. And give your heart a little rock. The image on the altar of your heart, there whenever you need it. It is from the photo album of your life. And allow your eyes to flutter open. What I love about a practice like that is that it can be used, well, all of these can really, but specifically in psychotherapy, healthcare, to just to dial down the energy a bit, and to perhaps bring home an essence that the client or student wants to enhance in their lives, and or at the beginning of a class or a therapy session to evoke that essence that is what the client wishes to move towards in their lives. So, and the thing about this, using imagery, is that we really feel it's important not to give the image, because we want to empower you as a practitioner, you, if you're serving others, to empower your students and clients to find their own images from their own lives. And then I like to check in and ask what came up for you, what was the image? Because then if I'm working in yoga therapy or whatever modality, I can weave that in, that image into our session together, into our work together. So let's see, are we good for time, Kirti?
We are, yes.
Okay, all right. So here's one from the more energizing practices. We're going to use the image for courage, and we're going to use the mantra Mahara. So we're going to do the same gesture, only we're going to bring it to the solar plexus. right here instead of to the heart. And because that's our power battery, that's our Manipura chakra, that's our energy battery, right? Kundalini yogis know this, right? Right, Kirti? That center of power and self-esteem and identity. Often when we're depressed, there's a posture of depression and we're depleted and we don't have much going on. We're dormant at the solar plexus. So this is a gentle way of enhancing strength right at the solar plexus, Manipura chakra. So let's bring into the heart's mind an image that for you represents courage. And we're going to inhale for 4 and then draw the hands to the belly with Mahara. Okay? So we'll do that a few times, probably 3 times. And inhale 2, 3, 4. See that image or word? Mahara. Inhale 2, 3, 4. See that image or word. Mahara. And one more time. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Embrace that image like you're hugging a tree. Mahara. And give your hands an opportunity to come to the heart. Find that eagle mudra again. Give your heart a rock. That image or the word courage or calm strength on the altar of your heart. There whenever you need it. And as you're ready, you can allow your eyes to flutter open. So I think we have one more practice that's pretty quick. So is there time to find out how the practice landed for folks? Kirti, you decide because you're in charge of time.
Let's see. Let's move on to the next practice, and then we can kind of lump all the comments because there's some interesting comments as well. So
and questions, yeah, we'll take questions at the end. Okay,
yes.
Good. So there we go. So this is a really simple one, and it's usually done seated, and it's Hakini Mudra, and there's a little bit of pressure. So the hands are like holding a globe and pressing together. I want to just give you a little experiment first. So just press your little fingers together, your pinkies, and allow your eyes to soften or close. And notice as you press your pinkies together where the breath is landing in your body. What part of your anatomy is receiving the breath? And then release your pinkies and press just your thumbs together. A little bit of, as Dr. Dharma likes to say, 2 pounds of pressure, whatever that means. When he teaches Kirtan Kriya, wonderful practice. Notice where the breath is landing as you press your thumbs together. And then just to check again, press the little fingers, just the little fingers. Notice if there's a shift. It's subtle. Just shows you the power of mudra if you can feel that shift. And then thumbs again, one last time, just the thumbs. Where is the breath landing? And then all of the fingers and thumbs together in Hakini Mudra. And notice the breath. Does it feel a little more expansive? A little fuller? So we know that when we extend the exhalation, which often naturally happens with Hakini Mudra, we're activating parasympathetic activity, that wonderful ventral vagal experience of calm, rest and digest, social engagement. And then release the mudra and allow your eyes to flutter open. So I think I can end this PowerPoint now. There we go. So it's really remarkable, that little Hakini Mudra. And I think a lot of therapists have used that, who've taken the Life Force Yoga training, to simply help people breathe more deeply, to access a deeper breath. Most people, you know, if we were in dialogue, I'd ask you, but most people, it's different. It can be different for you. And that doesn't make me wrong or you wrong, but most people tend to experience the little fingers as bringing the breath lower into the lower chakras, into the lower lobes of the lungs. And the thumbs tend to bring the breath into a higher place up. For me, I feel it sort of in my throat and my head when I'm pressing my thumbs together. And then I also, if we had time, I would do each finger, and we experience it differently, but it usually comes up the system. So that's how most of the mudras, I mean, the mudras in different schools of different lineages have some basic attributes in common. And that is the fact that the little fingers usually work with the lower chakras and the energy centers in the lower part of the body, thumbs, upper part, and also palms up, more elevating, palms down, more relaxing and calming. And then there are lots of variations within the schools of mudras and mantras. So that's what I have prepared. So I'm open to discussion, questions, letting me know how the practices are landing. I would also like to say that the immersion that we're doing this weekend through Yogaville, which is on my website, you can link to it from there, amyweintraub.com. We'll have many more practices. It's a full day Saturday, a half day Sunday. So maybe I'll see some of you there and we can actually talk, because it'll be a smaller group.
Talk more, right? Yeah, this was delightful. Thank you so much, Amy. We have some questions. I would like to run the poll now, if we could, so that we kind of have an idea while we, while we answer the questions. You can pick more than one box here. So let us know, what your interest is in this. And, and while we do this, I want to take just 1 second and thank Chelsea Pine, whom most of you have been in touch with to register. And she's the woman behind the screen here, the woman behind all the technical things. So thank you, Chelsea, for your assistance.
Yes, thank you,
And
Chelsea. Yeah.
yes, and so as soon as this poll is, is is finished, we'll have the results. I'll read a question. So let's see. We had comments that they loved the practice, the previous practice, nurturing and calming, the Soham. And then about the one with the steps, the stair steps in the with the breathing. Someone said that they had a really bad experience in an elevator, and so for them that wasn't very conducive.
No. Well, if I were working with you personally, I would know you would tell me that, and we would do maybe something else like a gondola ride up a mountain, or a something that we would talk about, something that would, an escalator where we're seeing something beautiful as the escalator moves up the mountain. So we're not locked into an elevator. So yeah, that's why we need to make these, that's why yoga therapy exists, so that it's for everyone, so that we can tailor these practices for what your needs are, what your experiences have been. So we would not use an elevator for that exercise.
Right. Another question is, are the benefits and mantras on the cards?
No, there's no room for all the benefits, but the mantras are, yes. The mantras and how to do them are on the cards. This is designed, I really wanted to make this as accessible as possible. So healthcare practitioners, yoga professionals can use them with their clients, use them for themselves, but also their clients can use them and not get bogged down with research and application and all of that. So there is some good research in general about yoga, and in some cases in particular. So the benefits, are, the evidence-based benefits are not specifically on the cards.
So just to show you, this is
one.
I picked one at random. This is the drawing, that the front part, and then the back has a description, and if there is a mantra, that's where it would be.
Yeah.
This one didn't have a mantra.
Yeah. And it's the yoga skills for therapists has many of these practices because they're applicable to talk therapy. And that's where there is sort of the benefits and the application and the research.
So we have quite a few more comments. So I'll try to move a little quickly. Question is pranayama the best type of yoga, or are hatha and other types equally effective?
I would say, based on the research, actually, Helger Kramer, who did one of the major researchers in the world on yoga, and in particular yoga for mood, did a survey of all of the studies that were available a couple of years ago, not too long ago. And the most effective aspect of our practices were the breathing practices, the pranayama. However, I never do asana without pranayama. And I had the great privilege of being on the stage in Haridwar with Mr. Iyengar at the end of his life when he was 92. Brilliant. And he said that the practices that were given to him, which were hatha, asana, no pranayama, were because he was 13, was recovering from a year and a half in bed from respiratory illness. And that's the way Krishnamacharya taught him. He taught Desikachar, his son, and others very differently. And that's the way he taught it, without the breath. So he said on the stage, at the end, towards the end of his life, a year before he died, that he made Iyengar yoga so that only beginners could not learn pranayama. He then said that he felt that everyone would benefit from pranayama, even beginners. So I really feel that asana without pranayama is good exercise, and the stretching is good for you, and it makes a difference. There's even a study that Shirley Tellis did a number of years ago that showed that yoga practice with just asana, compared to, there were like 45 participants, compared to yoga practice with pranayama, and there was like a 45% decrease in symptoms of depression with just asana, and there was a 70-something% decrease in symptoms of depression with asana and pranayama. So
that's an interesting answer. Okay, another question here is the Kirtan Kriya considered a yoga practice for depression and anxiety? I will let you answer as our expert.
Well, actually, yes, and Kirti is really the expert on that. Kirtan Kriya was given by Yogi Bhajan, and it was made very popular in Dharma Singh Khalsa's book, Meditation as Medicine. And this foundation that is sponsoring the webinar has put quite a bit of money into the research at University Hospital Research, University of Virginia, UCLA, and other places to look at Kirtan Kriya. And Kirtan Kriya is very effective for depression. And it uses mudra, it uses mantra, and it uses breath. So I highly recommend Kirtan Kriya, and I'm sure on the website, access to it is on the website for the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. Did I leave anything out, Kirti?
No, that was perfect. I will add that if anybody wants to read some of the results of the research, you can go to the website alzheimersprevention.org, and you can download the white papers. There's quite a bit of information on Kirtan Kriya and in other publications there as well. But you know, we still have a little bit of time, but I want to again let you know about how to stay in touch with Amy. It's amyweintraub.com, and if that's the one thing that you want to take away, then you can find her Instagram and YouTube and events from that website. So somebody else asked, are the mental impact and benefits of those exercises that we've done together powerful enough to prevent dementia?
Oh, there are so many factors in dementia, and who knows, they can perhaps slow down. I mean, my mother died of Alzheimer's in her mid-70s. Her father died of Alzheimer's. So there's a genetic history for me. So I am definitely concerned about my own memory. So for all I know, I haven't investigated of late, I'm full of tangles and tau. However, I'm functioning beautifully because whatever genetic predisposition I may have to developing Alzheimer's disease has not material. It may never materialize, but then again, it may. And I think I've really slowed it down, because by the time my mother was my age, she was already diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So who knows? All we can say is that based on the research, it increases brain size basically, and Alzheimer's shrinks brain size. So doing these practices, increases the BDNF, increases the SIRT1, all of those factors that decrease when we're depressed and when we have dementia. So it's preventative, but will it prevent it? I doubt it. Not completely. It will likely slow it down. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a research scientist. Do you have anything to add to what I've just said, Kirti? I mean, you're also an expert in this.
I think you're absolutely correct. I think that we want to, point out that during this webinars, we're not really providing any medical advice to anyone. We would never say, do only, this exercise and you'll be fine. You'll never have any disease or anything, of course. So, and also we want to mention that every lifestyle practice, it's not a drug. It's not the magic bullet drug, right? So it's like exercise. If you want to have a better blood pressure and reduce your cholesterol and, normalize other metabolic functions, sure, exercise. Does that mean that, you'll fix everything? Of course it doesn't. So, we want to take it with the understanding that it's a slow process. It's not perfect. Everybody is a unique person, and everybody from a clinical standpoint will react differently. Some people, will develop, great muscle tone and a better blood pressure, but they may still have another illness. And so same for this. So we believe that in general, by managing your stress through this yoga practice, like, these that we've done today, and improving your mental health, it will improve a lot of your biomarkers. There are deep, the chemicals inside our cells, and will improve our overall health. But we can't say, will it absolutely erase your chance of getting Alzheimer's or erase your chance of getting heart disease or anything. So we want to, be understanding that every person is unique and will react differently.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah, that's how yeah.
So we still have quite a few questions, but we have, only about a minute left. Someone was asking, where do we get the cards, Amy?
Well, if you go to my website, it will link you to wherever you want to buy them from, whether it's Barnes and Noble or, whatever your favorite bookseller is. And then, so Amazon, but it's all the links are there on the website. Sounds True, who produced them, actually sold out already. So they won't have them until October 22nd. So you can't order them directly from Sounds True right now, but you can order, but Amazon bought a whole bunch and they still have enough. So if you shop on Amazon, you can get them there, or if you go to, or your independent bookseller, wherever you'd like.
And Phyllis just said she just ordered them. So congratulations, Phyllis.
And thank you everybody who orders some. That really helps. That helps all of us. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us. I can't believe the hour is over and it went so fast. It was so enjoyable and peaceful. I really appreciate it, selfishly speaking. So thank you so much, Amy, Weintraub, and everyone for your hearts here. Have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening, and we'll be in touch. Stay in touch, and we'll send you the handouts and the recordings within 24 to 48 hours at the most.
Thank you.